I had the chance to sit down with award-winning director Deepa Mehta and talk about her film Heaven on Earth. Now, this film explores the very difficult issue of domestic violence. She chooses to actually set the whole movie within the context of an immigrant Sikh girl who comes to Canada in an arranged marriage. I was amazed at how proud I was of Deepa for talking about this issue among her own community.
साडी कामना विच इन्नी ताकत होती है कि वो इंसानी रूप धार के साडी जिंदगी विच
Deepa, you have a powerful film that explores the issues of domestic violence in the South Asian communities. What inspired you to do this film?
What inspired me to do Heaven on Earth was that domestic violence is such a universal phenomenon. I mean, it knows no country, it knows no color, it knows no class. It happens universally in all communities. The reason I did it in the Southeast Asian community was because I'm a Southeast Asian myself, and my access to the community is very easy. I'm a part of it. It would have been slightly more difficult if I decided to do it, say, in a WASP community, in upper or whatever, because I just don't. It's not my world, and but it's the universality of domestic violence is what attracted me.
See, what's fascinating about your film is that you weave in, it's not just a straight story of a woman who's being abused. There is this two cultures issue coming into Canada from India. There's this idea, and then you throw this mystical element of the cobra, and there's a mythology that's going on there. As I kind of engaged those ideas, I thought you're asking deep questions, not just about domestic violence, but about how women find freedom in that. What were you trying to do in that theme?
Oh, well, I mean, you know, mythology plays a huge part in everybody's lives. I mean, whether it was Joseph Campbell and who informed the West about the West myths, how myths work, and for me as somebody who's an Indo-Canadian, it's a very important part of my background. I mean, we grew up with myths, and the whole idea of Heaven on Earth is not just an issue of domestic violence, but to deal with it when reality becomes too difficult to bear. What are the recourses? Where to go? Exactly. And it's usually our imagination. And in this case, in the case of the film and the protagonist in the film, it's about the use of the imagination to free herself. How she gets to know herself, how she gets the courage to walk out of a situation. And Heaven on Earth is also about the isolation of being an immigrant.
Joining me in the studio is Mike and Sonia. They're a couple getting married December 28th, I guess. And you're a Christian, you're Baha'i. For a lot of people, that's a huge hurdle to get over, very different religious backgrounds. Mike, when you first said to your parents, I'm going to marry a girl who's Baha'i, what was their reaction?
I think they had some reservations, but you know, we had talked about it a lot coming up to that point, like while we were dating. It wasn't just like, oh, all of a sudden we're getting married.
Right, yeah.
So they had some reservations, but you know, they trusted me.
What was their reservation? Like, if they could be honest, you know, if you'd be honest right now and say, here's the biggest concern.
Well, I think their biggest concern is that she's not a Christian, right? So, but we both feel that our faith overlaps in a lot of ways, and there's a lot of similarities between our faiths, and there's a lot for us to build on there in those similarities.
Sonia, what about you? I mean, you told your parents, I'm dating a Christian guy. What was that about? Because, I mean, the Baha'i faith for your family is really important. So what did they say?
It is very important. But as a Baha'i, we accept Jesus Christ as a manifestation of God, and we accept the major religions. So it wasn't much of an issue with my parents about dating a Christian, because we know that we share the same values and some of the same teachings. And so I think they were pretty okay with it.
Okay, let me fast forward a little bit.
Okay.
Let's pretend, I mean, you're in law, and so you have a big life ahead of you yet as in a career, but let's say you decide to have kids.
Right.
How are you going to raise your kids? Are you going to take them to a Christian church or Baha'i? How are you going to do that?
What we've decided, what we've discussed about is we're going to pretty much teach them about all the major religions and mostly focus on Christianity and the Baha'i faith, and hopefully and teach them about investigating the other religions themselves and really figure out what they believe is the truth and what they want to.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree. There is this idea of saying, I want my kids to grab a hold of it themselves, but I'm sure your parents would think about their grandkids, their future grandchildren, and that would be hard for them, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But I think like the foundation of what we want our kids to learn is that it's up to them. It's a personal investigation of the Bible and of the Baha'i writings and of the Quran and all these different things. And I think that's really important. So
I have a whole bunch more questions for you guys because, I mean, one thing is raising kids, but I mean, as a couple, I'm sure you guys have had to deal with all sorts of issues. So I'm going to explore more with you guys right after the break. So more with Mike and Sonia after this, and as well, filmmaker Deepa Mehta. I'm joined in the studio again by Mike and Sonia. You guys are really fascinating because you have overcome some major issues, different faiths, and yet you're getting married in the midst of that. Sonia, your wedding's coming up. In the actual ceremony, are you going to have representatives of both faiths, and how are you going to do that?
Yeah, we will. We will have somewhat of a Christian ceremony, and we will also have Baha'i vows with a Baha'i officiant who will be there to do the official legal aspect of it. Wow. But we will also have writings from the Baha'i faith and the Christian faith about marriage, and also pray about our relationship and about our marriage. And
so I mean, obviously there's things in common. I mean, you're both talking about love and marriage, and then both these faiths value these principles. What are some things that you found in common as you've learned about the Baha'i faith?
I think love of God, and I think the biggest thing for us that was common was the love in our families. I think both of our families approach everyday life, trying to exude the love of God and use that in every relationship they have. And I think that was probably the biggest commonality for us.
Let me be honest with you. This is a question that some people may have asked. Did you ever at a point early on where you ask yourself, what if my girlfriend, future wife, doesn't get to heaven because she didn't get it right? Was that one of the ideas you had in your head?
It's been asked of me before. I guess I don't have that worry. Yeah. I just see us as equals and together, and we've never had that fear between the two of us. We both know where we're going.
And it's not about who gets it right and who gets it wrong.
I don't think it is.
You're overcoming those issues, and you're saying there's things that we have in common, which is about love and family and these kind of things that you're talking about. Sonia, let me ask you this. I mean, you're going into law, which is really kind of cool. How much of your own faith do you guys talk about issues of spirituality a lot? Does that come up in conversation, or have you tended to put that in the back seat?
In the law school?
Yeah, no, just sorry. I mean, I know you're in school right now, and it's not something you not necessarily talk about, spirituality, but in your relationship with Mike, does that come up a lot?
Oh, yes, it does, and we've definitely talked about it a lot, and we've talked about how we want to go on with our own spiritual, personal journey with God, and how we're going to do that as a couple, and also how to raise children. So it does come up a lot.
What if he wants on a Sunday to go to his own church? Would you feel like, come with me, or like, what would you do about that?
No, I would definitely support him to go to his church, and to develop his relationship with God, whatever he would like to do with that. So if he wants to go to church, for sure, I would support him.
So you're two separate individuals, even though you're choosing to get married, you find some commonalities in that, even though you're not. Do you want to change? Would you be happier if he was Baha'i? If he says, today I'm becoming Baha'i, yes, finally.
Well, it would be nice,
but I'm
not going to pressure him.
Right, yeah. So you're saying it would sure a lot be easier.
It would be, yeah, but it's his own decision, and I support him with whatever, and we both believe in God, and we both love God, and we were raised to love God, and so in our relationship, we pretty much have centered it on God, and so we just support each other in our development, in our spiritual development towards God, and so.
Well, thanks so much, you guys, for coming on. Sonia, it's been wonderful to meet you guys. Mike, thanks. All the best in your wedding coming up. I'm so excited for you guys.